Good day and welcome to Ramble On, Armidale Regional Council's podcast.
Perhaps the Armidale Mall stage might be known as a pretty good chip going forward.
It cost a lazy $2 to $3 billion to build, so I have to say I don't have that sort of change. So no.
Probably the best $4 million we've ever spent.
Hello there and welcome to Armidale Regional Council's podcast, Ramble On. Normally I would be joined by our Mayor, my podcast host, Councillor Sam Copeland, the Mayor of Armidale Regional Council. But as we're in caretaker mode, there's some really strict protocols around what councillors can and can't do in that process. So today that means that the opportunity presents for us to be able to introduce you to some of the really key players right across the Armidale Regional Council, across our staffing group. We have Renata Davis, the Manager of Activation Precincts, and Billy Hyde, the Supervisor of Parks and Gardens. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, it's great to have you both here. I mean, I think you're very visible, particularly Parks and Gardens, and that open urban space is something that's incredibly visible to people that that either live here or that choose to come and visit. Bill, tell us a little bit about what you and the team are up to at the moment and what it's all about.
Yeah, James. So we've just obviously spring's hit a bit early this year for us. So we're just trying to tidy up a few winter jobs that we've been onto. During the winter, we normally do the street tree pruning program. So we have 5 different areas around town. We trim them up just to make them look a lot better, plus also the access, on the roadside, so the trucks that come past, get your bins and stuff like that, they can get through, as well as on the footpath side so people can walk under them safely. We also do the street tree planting program. With that, this year we've got 150 trees we've planted.
Yeah, right, okay.
We've in the past, we've sit around normally between 250 and 150 we do every year, which is good. We obviously had the drought only a while ago, so there's a lot of trees that we're still trying to remove from the drought. So then it's always good to put some back and make the town look good, and it's also good for the region. So you're just going through that. And obviously next week we start mowing, so our favourite job in parks. Hay fever, the boys love hay fever, and our lady as well. Yes, so the pharmacies get a bit of a workout.
Bit of a workout, yeah.
Fast. But yeah, so we'll start that, mowing through, get the town looking a bit more tidy. It's a bit rough at the moment. The grass is a bit high, but we just had to finish those winter jobs off, get them done, and then get the place looking a bit more tidy for the summer, and hopefully we keep getting this rain that's here. It also makes it good growing, but too much rain, and obviously then it brings on the bog. So
yeah. What's the do you have how do you sort of work out the priorities in terms of your mowing? Is it a visual thing, or is there a certain length that grass or an open space might get to that prompts you to get in there? How do you sort of prioritise what you do?
Yeah, so we've got there's a program. Obviously, our programs then can be budgeted a lot easier. So we have a 3-weekly run that goes from 3 parts of town. So we have the Cycleway run. It goes all the way from Uni out through to Cooks Road, and then we do the North Run. So that'll start off at the Equestrian Centre near O'Connor, run up through North Hill, Drummond Park, back over to the Uni. Then we start on the South Run, so that's our biggest run. We start at the Arboretum. That Arboretum normally takes us about a day to mow, so that's 1 day down, which is very hard, because that takes a lot of the time. And then we go through from there, going to more an oval, through to Bunnings, just to the entries of town.
Yeah.
So that's our 3 weekly run that our big mows go through. And then we've got even a smaller run, which is a 2 weekly, and it goes. So that's the centre of town. Civic and Curtis Park get done then.
Yep.
And then the opposite week is our sports field surrounds. So with the sports field surrounds, is just like the outside of the sports ground, roller gas, Wicklows and stuff like that. And then the 1 weekly runs are Central Park, obviously being our heritage listed park. So it's got to look smick all the time.
Yeah.
So it gets done closely weekly. And then the sporting fields. So the sporting fields, which a lot of people probably don't really know, in summer, some of the sporting fields are done 3 times a week.
Wow,
and
geez.
every single one is done twice a week. So there's a fair bit of mowing.
And why is that, Bill?
Obviously the grass just grows well in those areas. That's probably where we fertilise, keep the ground soil tested and stuff like that. So it's a premium growing places through town. So we always want the sporting fields to be the best it possibly can. So we've actually just introduced a program a couple of years ago. So we've a reseeding program. When I was team leader with Parks, I obviously have a passion for sport and stuff like that. So I put it to my supervisor at the time to start a reseeding program with the council. So then we can get nice ryegrass in the winter. So when you're looking on the TV, all the grass is nice and green in the winter. And sometimes if you watch Tamworth TV, theirs is nice and brown. So you might get one up on them here. And then, so it's obviously to make that playing surface a lot better. And then hopefully in the future, then we can bring bigger games to town and, obviously we might take the NRL games off Tamworth and we can get them. Yeah.
Is it true that you're one of your key performance indicators or measures is the number of complaints you get from budding or aspiring batsmen on cricket wickets that if the grass is too long and they hit a great shot and it doesn't get to the boundary, you get lots of complaints, and the opposite, of course, if it's mowing to an inch of its life.
Yeah, it is one of my requests that come through that the grass isn't low enough for them to hit their fours. But, when I played, I just used to hit sixes.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
Well, that's the way around it, isn't it?
Yeah, there's always ways around things. So we've just actually, we bought a sports field mower that will only go on the sports fields at the moment. So with this mower, that's all it will do. So we are actually hoping to get that minimum, a lot lower length on the grass for the cricket. So we only got it at the end of last year, so we didn't really see the benefits of it yet.
Yeah.
So this year we're hoping, obviously, we're going to start a lot earlier, get the grass down a lot lower, and then hopefully the town can see a lot of benefit from this new mower. Fantastic.
Thanks, Bill. And I know I welcomed her earlier, but Ms. Renata Davis, the Manager of Activation Precincts, it probably sounds that's a pretty bit of a mouthful of a title, but I guess what does that mean, Renata? What does that mean to you in terms of the role you and your team play?
Yeah, sure. So it's all about livability, really, and making us the most livable region. That's what we aim to do. And we want people to think, when they think about the regions and where they might like to visit, live, work, we want them to think Armidale region.
Absolutely.
So there's a few elements to that. Obviously, we need more industry to come to town, and that brings the jobs. People won't come here unless they've got the jobs. And employment opportunities. So that's really important, and strengthening our current local businesses, very important. We want to also sort of facilitate a great place to live. So the things that make it, life easy and convenient and comfortable and all of those sorts of things when we think of, do we have enough medical services and childcare and, infrastructure, buildings for our kids to go and, do their dance lessons in, that sort of thing. Parks and gardens, we're so lucky in the Armidale region to have beautiful parks and gardens, and it really is a feature for us. So looking at that sort of place element as well, and then realistically, we've got to bring the vibrancy to the region as well, and so that's a real focus for us. Vibrancy and social cohesion is really important to people, and we know that from the data that people want a sense of community. They want things to see and do.
They do. Yeah.
So our team really looks to bring those experiences, those activations, those events through the region, and so people can really experience it and have fun and enjoy the place.
Yeah. Now you use the term vibrancy.
Yeah.
Tell us, we're talking about vibrant events. Excuse me. Talking about vibrant events, the Light Festival just held in the last week. Tell us a little bit about that, because we talk about kickstarting events. That was just an absolute ripper. Talk us through the origins of that and what you got versus what you thought you were going to get and all of those sorts of things.
Absolutely. So I guess we were looking to do a vivid style event, but realistically with a bit of a local twist. So trying to, have that experience of here's some beautiful lighting installations, but also look at our community and how creative and artistic it is and bring that element to it as well. And so it started out as, let's have a little bit of a light festival. We ended up getting some funding for it, which we were really lucky to get from the New South Wales government, the Open Streets funding, and that allowed us to open up Tinkham Lane and utilise it with Central Park and create quite the event. I'm not sure people what they thought they were getting, but it seems like people came and were really, really surprised at how much was going on in the park and how professional it was, really. I think we were expecting about 2,000 people.
Yeah, what'd you end up with?
We think around somewhere between 5,000 and 7,000 people.
Wow,
so
fantastic.
It was an incredibly well patronised event. And people just loved that community element for, we had the preschools and the schools and local artists all displaying their, all of their artwork that was in line with our theme about elements of nature, lit up the beautiful trees in Central Park, and it's exquisite in that park, really. Some of the trees are absolutely incredible. Thanks, Billy.
Yeah.
So it was great to highlight that.
How did the collaboration come about with the schools and the community groups? Because that was a fantastic way to really get people involved and on board. Yeah,
well, we have some team members who have such good community connections. So, we utilised those to the nth degree and got the community on board. And I think they really latched onto the theme as well. They love that elements of nature, sustainability, light theme. I think that was really quite inspirational for them. And the artworks and the displays and the installations that they created were incredible. People thought that adults had done some of these school and preschool
it was very, very
displays.
Impressive.
It was absolutely amazing, and we're so thankful that we had such great community collaboration. Like the Waldorf School, for instance, with their fire twirling.
Yes,
sensational. They are absolutely amazing, and people absolutely loved watching that display. Yeah,
it was definitely hard to move in that park. I mean, and as Bill was saying earlier, it is one of the jewels of the crown for Armidale and the region more broadly, that Central Park. But would it be fair to say that venue may have outgrown, the event may have outgrown that venue if it was going to be similar numbers next year? Or what would you do differently, if anything, if you had your time again?
I guess lots of people asked if we could do it over 2 nights.
Yes, I got a lot of that feedback as well.
Yeah, and it's a tricky thing. I mean, obviously that costs additional money. Light festivals aren't cheap to run by any means, and we tried to do it as economically as we could. But that extends the cost of it, obviously, and also the resourcing in terms of producing that another night. It's a huge undertaking. Billy will know this as well with his guys helping us out, but a huge undertaking to get that event set up. But it would be amazing to have it over a couple of nights. And what we were thinking was we would have loved to have had maybe not the whole show, but maybe, the Mandy Lights fibre show and the uplighting. Yeah. We did have it up on the Thursday night, and we probably could have actually promoted that it was up on the Thursday night and just sort of let people meander through it, because it was beautiful. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll circle back to it, because the Light Festival is not the only great show that you and the team put on either, but we'll come back to that. But what I was keen to have you both talk about is that activation and precincts, parks and gardens and urban and open spaces, people wouldn't ordinarily see any connection there at all, but they would be wrong in thinking that. Between you both, do you want to just talk a little bit about that connection that you do have and how heavily you rely on one another?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we'll talk about events in a moment, but if we take it back a step as well about that place and the vibrancy element to what we're doing in terms of making, a beautiful region, Billy's team definitely, they do an amazing job in terms of the parks and the gardens and the sporting fields, that we are renowned for that, which is incredible. So that makes our job easier to promote the region, I think, for sure. In terms of that. But in terms of events, Billy's team, their crew, really, really assist us in the setup and pull down of an event, the running of an event. They are exemplary fire pit controllers for the Big Chill and for the Light Festival. But yeah, we really, really need that manpower to be able to run an event, and they are so skilled at what they do and really helpful in helping us set up and pull down and get all the things organised that we need. And during an event too, it's like, things go wrong, you need to fix things. And so it's great to be able to have a team of guys and girls to call and say, guys, can you help us fix this right away? And they're always there and helping us. So, it makes a huge difference.
And how are you seeing it, Bill?
Yeah, well, obviously, it was a great event. I would have to say I've been on council for 14 years now, and I think it's the biggest event that we've actually held. I couldn't believe it. I didn't work on the night. I actually just went down with my wife and children. And my little girl, I was like, hold on to me because I don't want to lose you here. She just wanted to run at everything and touch everything. I think most of the kids did on the night. They all just wanted to touch the lights and stuff like that. But, yeah, great event. Great to see the town getting behind stuff like that. That's like every time we get an event like that in town, that's what we need. If the town get behind them, then it's better for us to then put something else on again. I would hate to be a food vendor on the night. They were all very, I guess they made a lot of money, but, there still would have been the stress of trying to get everything out. We ended up I got the daughters a hot dog, and me and my wife ended up going into town to get something to eat.
Yeah. And it was pumping in town.
Absolutely
pumping.
That's what also events bring, like the pubs are packed, the takeaway places were packed as well. That's all part of these events, and it's great that the businesses can reap the rewards of these events and stuff like that. And obviously, like Renata said, our team's obviously the muscle on the events. And there's a real pride in doing the events. So that like my team love doing them. There's nothing better than going to the event, or if you're working as well, and they say, oh, geez, you've done a good job. Like I think that night I received probably 5 text messages from people in the community that I know and said what a great event it was. And there's nothing better than that. Like that's why we work here. We're proud of what we do. And that feeling that you get from from getting that text message, like that's what it's about for working here. Like we're here for the community, and you just feel good. It makes you feel good inside that you can come off with an event like that, and everyone comes out of it happy. There might have been a few people that didn't get fed that night, but it's it was good, and it was great. The schools, like the contribution from the schools. There was one house that was made out of milk cartons. I really enjoyed carrying that on the Friday. The smell, it was great. But the designs of some of them, all the efforts they put in, it's good to see that we can get them involved as well. So great work from the events team. Great work from my team. They did a lot of work. Like an event doesn't just start on the day. We did a week's worth of work there, and then there's obviously the pack down. And like Renata said, obviously the 2 days would have probably been a lot better, but I did hear from some people that went through Thursday night and had a look. We probably could have promoted that a lot better, but you live and you learn, and hopefully we can go again sometime next year if possible. Or if not, we'll put something else on.
Yeah, no, there's always plenty of opportunities to try and improve on everything that we do. And so if we're great, we can be even greater, and if we're good, we can be great. So no, that's fantastic. And I guess, Renata, we talk about the funding and whether it's grant funding or whether it's council funded events like this, but the multiplier effect, Bill was just talking about motels and restaurants being full. You couldn't get a seat in a restaurant in Armidale on Friday night for love nor money, and just that multiplier effect of, what in the scheme of things is a small spend on an event like this, but it just has such a great multiplier effect. Is that the sort of stuff you're always thinking about, having the back of your mind when you're planning this sort of stuff?
Absolutely. When we put an event together, we're always thinking, can we attract people from out of town because they'll stay the night? How can we get people to experience the event and then push out into the hospitality outlets that we have? And definitely that happened with the Light Festival. We've heard from multiple hospitality outlets that, they were doing double, triple their normal Friday nights. That's absolutely great. Packed, rows of people out the doors. And that was absolutely fantastic. We were very lucky too, I must say. The UNE winter graduation was on at the time as well, so they had some things going on, so I think that contributed as well to the massive crowds. But when you're talking about say 5,000 to 7,000 people spilling out into the CBD after the event, you're going to capture that economic value. And I think in terms of measuring that, we've done that with Big Chill. Big Chill is a great one because we have about 30% of Big Chill participants, they come from out of town, so they stay a couple of nights, and the impact of that is, up to $2.3 million across the region for that one event. So we really can actually measure that and understand the big impact that these events have.
So that just on that's about a $350K spend by council to put the Big Chill on in this particular instance, equals sort of around that $2.5 million investment back into the business sector. Is that? Yeah. Well, if that's not council doing its bit, I don't know what is. So,
absolutely, it's bang for your buck.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, just speaking to some of the motels around Big Chill, and of course around the most recent event, the Light Festival, that's exactly the sort of stuff they talk about, just the flow-on effect for them in terms of additional nights accommodation. Just on Big Chill now, I know you were both really heavily involved in that. Bill and the team never say no to a bit of overtime, and those a bit of those opportunities, which is great for them. But the most recent Big Chill, very successful, change of venue. What does the future for that event look like?
Yeah, I think it's bright. With the Big Chill this year, we had an extra 1,000 ticket sales, which was fantastic. It's starting to really feel like a music festival in many senses. We got the big top in and moved to the showground this year, I think a week before the event because of the weather.
If that.
So we really scrambled and the team did really well to get that up, and we were very, very lucky to get the big top 10. It saved us when the big downpour came. But so that was incredible, and I think we learnt from that, that it also creates that really festival vibe situation with the big top 10. And at the showground, it really worked in terms of the facilities and all of that. So we're looking to keep that going for the next year. And we'll be releasing some dates soon for that, so I won't give that away just yet. But 2025 will definitely happen. And Big Chill has a great economic impact, which we love. But we got some really great artists this year, which was fantastic. And our vendors are always really happy with how they go because, it has a great festival vibe.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I mean, touch wood, of course. With a lot of gigs, that gig economy and a lot of long-term festivals that have been going on for a little while that are starting to fall by the wayside, that the Big Chill seems to be going from strength to strength. So that's, kudos to you and the team for what you're doing there. Some other big flagship events, of course, Christmas in the Mall for you guys. Will that be happening again this year? Yeah,
that's happening. So we're just in the planning stages for Christmas. And that will be a big event again. I think last year they were saying, there was at least 7,000 people at that one. So, we're definitely planning on that and just sort of working out how we can better manage that with the amount of people that turn up. Obviously, we had that with the Light Festival too. You just get a lot of people in a small space. So we're currently working on that. And there's a few other things in the community at the moment, some other big events that are happening that are going to be massive too, with the Cold Chisel concert coming in. That's going to be a lot of people coming in, and we've got New England Garden Festival and a lot of other events that will happen between now and our Christmas event. It's going to be packed. Spring will be very, very, very fun and exciting time in Armidale region.
Given the sorts of numbers that we're talking about for Christmas in the mall, and that, in what it really is a confined space. I mean, is there an opportunity that we might be able to, find a different venue, bigger and better venue that just provides that bit more space? Is that something that you guys might think about? Yeah,
we're certainly on that path in terms of last year in the mall, because the Christmas tree is rather large, Billy. Great big tree. And there was a lot of people wanting to see that lit up. There were some safety issues around crowd crushing and that sort of thing, and we really we want it to be a family-friendly event. So at the moment we are looking to get the community's feedback in terms of taking the Christmas tree and the event itself down to Civic and Curtis Parks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great and idea, just give us a little bit more space. But also, I guess it has some other benefits apart from sort of that safety element. It has the benefits of people being able to drive past and see the tree, have picnic in the park and sit next to the tree, all from our event in late November, 29th of November, through to Christmas. Yeah. They can experience that, play in the playground, look at the beautiful tree, all of that, and it sort of can extend that Christmas festival out in that respect. That's
a great thing. Now, I think the key there, fortunately, all listeners to this podcast are really reasonable people. So what just to highlight what you just said there, you're really keen to understand, get people's feedback, get the community's feedback, ask them what they would think about a shift. Is that a fair comment? I mean, we just want to stress that no decisions have been made yet by anyone. This is really just about testing the waters and seeing what the community would be comfortable with, because we do get a lot of feedback, it would be fair to say, from the community about our events, and mostly good, but sometimes there's that bit of negativity too. So we had some feedback, I imagine, around the tightness of the numbers. So.
Yeah, absolutely, we did, and from our staff as well, who were trying to manage those moments where there is a little bit of a crowd crush, and it makes it a little bit tricky, but we love to go out to the community and actually ask the views of the community, because it's their event at the end of the day.
Indeed, yep.
It's not our event, it's the whole community's event. Yeah. So we want to know what they think about the shift, and, it might be a case of if, people are feeling really positive about that, let's go and try it.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. Let's see if it works for this year and see if it flies in that respect. But we'll see what the community come back with, and we're very open to feedback in that respect.
Yeah, great. Bill, how would that, how would you see that playing out yourself, just from a logistics point of view and the work that you and your boys do?
Yeah, definitely. We had the trouble with the crowd crush last year. The Christmas tree in the mall, putting it up, isn't the greatest, on the safety side of things, because obviously we're bringing trucks in and stuff like that. We had a crane in there to lift the tree because it's so enormous. And, it probably makes our job a lot safer if we have it down in the park, which is good for us. But there's also, I guess, you've obviously got the negatives there. There's the shops that are in the mall that probably like the business with having the Christmas in the mall. So you're going to get positives, you're going to get negatives. But, there's always, like we said, you can try it out, see how it goes, if it doesn't work. But I guess we have the Autumn Festival down in the park, which is always great. You can have plenty of people. There's more, it's less cost. We don't have to have generators and stuff like that. Too many anyway, because we've already got the power down there. Easier to walk around, and also, like, I do love the idea of people want to go down the tree of a night time, have a picnic under it. You've got the beautiful playground there at Curtis that gets used every weekend. It's daylight savings. You can go down there, have a play, and then sit down and have some tucker, and I really enjoy it. And I think obviously, if you have the access of cars being able to park there, you can always do the Christmas lights, looking around town and drive around, and then come down and finish off with the tree and a nice kebab, or would you have?
Or two.
James? What would you go for?
I'd probably have a falafel wrap.
Oh, wow.
Although probably not. And Bill, you touched on the beautiful Curtis Park, and it would be remiss of me not to comment that stage 2 of the extension of that park is well into planning, and will be completed in this financial year as well. So. Which will just enhance that area and make it even better for people and families to go to and spend time. So there's some great opportunities there. Look, I'm conscious of time, and I've held you both here for a bit, where we sort of try and keep this to around the 32 minutes or so. So we're bang on that. But look, I'd just like to thank you both very much for making the time here and to come and sort of talk about your experiences, the roles that you play, and the great job that you both do, and then how you collaborate together for the betterment of our community, and just to extend my thanks. So thank you to you both. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks, James.
Thanks, James.
Hopefully Sam hasn't lost his job.
Billy might be the new step in.
Yeah, well, we'll know a little bit more after the 14th of September, Bill, I think. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.